Hi everybody, welcome to the Uptiquing Painting and Ceramics Framed Sunflower Canvas Painting. You received a kit, and in your kit you have a plain canvas, you have cups of paint, you have 3 brushes, some paper towels, a palette to put your paint on, a stencil, and some framing wood right here. Okay, so you are also going to need a clean area to paint. If you have newspaper or a garbage bag or a throwaway tablecloth, that will work. You're going to need a plastic cup with water in it and some old clothing. So the paint will not come out of your clothing. You'll end up looking like me if you do use good clothing. And we're going to get started. So when you put 2 colors together, they blend. So the background of the painting starts out with a yellowy orange and it goes all the way up to an orange that has a little bit of red in it. So we're going to blend our colors. We're going to work a little quickly. If you feel like you need to pause the video, go ahead, pause it, catch up or paint, and then press play again. So we're not going to wet our brush. Acrylic paints can act as watercolors if they're thin too much, so we want to use a dry brush right now. And we're going to dip it in the yellow, a generous amount with our large brush, and we're going to paint the bottom. Okay, just keep it on there. Okay, so you're going to go all the way across, and then you're going to dip the corner of your brush in some orange, and then add a little bit more as you go. And you're going to go back and forth between the yellow and the orange right now. So it's very important to keep your canvas wet with the paint, long strokes. Then you're going to add a little bit more orange going up. So you can already see the color change that's happening. If you see that you have, it almost looks like you're almost like pixelized, it's because you do not have enough paint on your brush, and your brush is dry and the canvas is dry. So just grab some more paint. So depending on how light or how dark you want the background to be is how much yellow you would add in. So I'm going to start adding a little bit of red in here. So a little red goes a long way. So that was just like a pin drop. All right, and so we're going to add in some orange to kind of blend that in. You're going to keep going back and forth, just a little dab of orange. And you know, if your strokes don't have, the orange doesn't have to be so, it could be random, it could be patterned. You can have some areas that have more red and some areas that have less red. But keep your paint wet, because as you add this red, it'll be easier to change your blending. So you're just going to keep adding. And if you're like, oh my goodness, I added too much red to it, then just, it's wet, so just add in some orange and blend it up. So you can see I'm doing some short strokes, and then I'm fanning it out with some longer strokes. So this one was just straight red right here, and I'm going to add some orange on top of it, because now my dominant color is going to be red towards the top. And it's a pretty quick paint when you get to this point, because you want to work it pretty fast. I'm going to have to grab some more orange out of my container. It's not really necessary to paint the edges this time because we are going to frame it. And you could finish the top with a little bit straight red in some areas just to give it some contrast. Okay. pretty good. It's a little bright down at the bottom, I think, for me, so I'm just gonna kind of go over it just a smidgen. Okay, that looks better. It was, for me, it was standing out too much. Okay, looking good. Okay, so if you're done with your large brush, we're done with it for right now. So we're gonna stick it in the water, and we're having it in the water here. We're just gonna kind of stir it around like we're making chocolate milk. Get it really good. Okay. There you go. All right, next, we have some pointy brushes. You're gonna grab a pointy brush. So you have an angled one, a flat one, and a round pointy one. We're gonna use the round pointy one. Mine is just a little bit bigger, so I paint a little bit faster. You take your time. So what we're going to do is we're gonna map this out. We're gonna do 2 little dots, one at the bottom and one at the top here, so we can do a quarter circle. And then afterwards, we're going to use dots again, and we're gonna do little dots for where the parenthesis of this petal comes down. So at the bottom of the parenthesis it doesn't touch, but at the top it does. So we'll make 2 dots for each bottom and 1 dot for a top, so it's almost like a triangle. Now you can use yellow or white to do this. I'm gonna use yellow. All right, so everybody sees size and shape differently, so if you're painting with a friend, yours may look a little bit different, but don't worry. If you are really into taking measurements, you can take one of your other brushes, and the distance from the corner to the end of the center of the flower is about the length of a brush from after the metal point to the end of the shaft, okay? So I'm just gonna eyeball it. I'm gonna put a dot down here, and I'm gonna put a dot up here. And this is not the Bible. It's just a guide. So we're gonna make a circle, a half circle, a quarter circle, okay? And then we're going to map out our petals. So we have 3 petals in the foreground. So we're gonna put 1 dot for the bottom of the petal on the first one and 1 dot there for the end. Then we're gonna make another petal. And they don't all have to be the same size. And then we're gonna make the last petal, okay? And then we have to find the center, or about the center of our first 2 dots, and we're gonna put a dot up top, right in the center, and it's just a guide. And a dot right here, and a dot right there. That'll help us map it out. So when we do the tops of these, or when we do the petals, the top is a point, right? And so it's going the opposite direction as the parenthesis here, or the sad face and happy face. So we're gonna go in, and then we're gonna go out, okay? So you're gonna go in, and then out. Same thing. And I'm gonna make this one a little longer. In, and then out. And we could fill these in after. I'm not 100% happy with that one, but when I do it, I'm gonna make it a little bit wider, a little bit more robust. Okay, and then here, again, we're gonna go in, and then out. Okay, and now we have these centers, these background ones. We'll put a dot so that we know where they go. So we'll do our first one, we go in, and then out. In, and out. Up here, we go in, and out. And then our last one on the bottom, this little guy down here, we're got half a little petal there. Okay, so that's mapped out for us. I think it looks pretty good. So we are going to start, well, this one doesn't look that good. Hold on, I'm gonna go in like this. brush in our paintbrush water. For these rounded brushes, these smaller guys, you really don't want to keep your paintbrush in the water because it will end up bending the bristles. So we washed it, we stirred it like chocolate milk, and then we're just going to give it a squeeze. Don't go like this because you'll ruin your bristles. And then just get it back to a nice point, okay? And leave it on the table. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to take the angled brush, and again, mine is just a little bit larger, so I paint a little bit faster. And the colors that we're going to be using right now, we have the orange, we have red, we have yellow. We're going to add a little bit of white into this. So dispense a little bit of white onto your palette. Okay, so this is my palette. And we're going to use our brush perpendicular to our canvas. Okay, so this is perpendicular, it forms a T. The pointiest end, the longest pointy end, the angle is going this way, that's going to be the top, and the shorter end is going to be the bottom. So this is going to give us some strokes this way. Don't go like this. This is whitewashing a fence. We're not doing that right now. Okay, so you're going to go up and down. So we're going to, I'm not wetting my brush again. We're going to take some white and we're going to just do long strokes. Okay, and these petals are just layers of strokes. So you're going to go in the contour of the petal. You can perfect your shape a little bit. And you're going to pass your center circle there. That brown will cover it. And that way it'll look like the petals are coming out of the stem, the center. Okay, so I'm going to do all the yellows first. When we get to these background ones, you're going to go past it, but then you're just going to form that shape again there, okay? So we have past it, and then you'll form it because we want it to look like these foreground petals are in front and the smaller petals that you're only seeing half of them are in the back. Okay, and we're going to work our way through all of these petals. You can see it's starting to take shape. And if you have to pause your video, go ahead and pause them. You can take your time painting. We just kind of go a little fast so that it's not so drawn out. But that way you can take the time to personalize it. All right, and then I have this guy here. And again, I still have that brush perpendicular. And you know, my painting is just a guide, so if you want to add more orange to it or more red to it than what I have, go right ahead. You can use that opportunity to personalize it. Okay, so I have my base of yellow in there, so now I'm going to start mixing in my orange and white. And here I go. Okay, so that'll start covering up some of those background colors that you have going on there. All right, and just one stroke passes because if you keep going over them, they're going to blend. Petals go pretty fast. Okay, so I'm getting, this time I'm going through and I'm doing all my foreground petals. Again, each time you paint, it may look a little different. It's the mood that you're in and the amount of paint you have on your brush. I'm going to do these background ones here. Make sure you come all the way down. The idea is to cover up that red. Good. Put this guy back here. And have some right here. Okay, so lastly, we're going to blow dry just a little bit, and then we'll be back and we'll add a little bit of white on. Hi everybody, welcome back. Okay, I did not wash my brush. If you did, pat it dry, squeeze it dry. We're gonna grab some white. Now, on the painting here, white is an accent. If you want to have more white in it, go right ahead. So we're going to just kind of start streaming in some of this white. Okay, I'm still using my brush in the same way. It's still perpendicular to my canvas. And I'm just going to go back and forth now between my yellow and my white and add a little yellow into that. Just short strokes. The more you go over it, the more it will blend. So that just, it's subjective whether or not you want it to blend a lot. Okay. I'm going to go back to my white. And I'm just going back and forth. I'm letting all that paint that's on my brush do the work for me. Now we're going to just pat your brush off with that white. If you want to, you can put some little hits of red in there. And I turned my brush the other direction. So my leading edge is actually the shorter end of the brush. And then I'm going to dip it into some yellow just to blend it in a little. And don't worry about going too far past that initial center circle. And now I'm going to go back into my white, and I'm going to turn my brush around. I just want to find that petal again. All right, I think it's looking pretty good. I like it. Okay, so we're going to wash our brush. Stir it around like you're making chocolate milk and squeeze it. Don't forget, if you're not done with your petals and you're not ready to move on, just pause the video and then enjoy painting and then rejoin us. Okay, so now we're going to take some brown, and you're going to take your big brush again. It's been sitting in the water, so make sure you squeeze it out pretty good. Oops, and don't drip on the floor. Squeeze it out. Okay. Now, we are going to take our brush and we're actually going to stipple, like a stippling effect, a pouncing effect. And now if you stamp in the same direction, you're gonna end up with like little feet. So when you do this, you actually want to turn your brush around, okay? So you're gonna turn, keep turning, and you're gonna just paint that circle that we initially did. Pounce, 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 okay? So you can have some of the orange showing through if you want. You can do the whole circle orange, the whole circle brown. We're gonna add a little black to it in just a bit. Okay. Again, you don't have to worry about your edges because we're gonna frame it. Okay, so that's the whole circle brown. You can leave it like that, or you can add some black to it. Oh, without getting that in there. All right, so I'm gonna just dip it on my paper plate there because black goes black fast. So you can do it where you go black all over and just do like we did with the brown. Or you can add some black just on the edging, and then what you can do is actually kind of just blend it in. Oops, I got a little fly. Go back to the brown. I like it. All right, so we are basically finished with the painting. You could add, if you wanted to, you could even add like a little yellow down here. I'll show you. You can add a little yellow for another little bit of color in there. So then, you know, use your creativity to adjust the painting any way you want. I'm gonna shut it off, I'm gonna blow dry, I'm gonna clean my brushes up because we're done with the paint, and we're gonna apply our stencil or our vinyl, and then we are gonna frame it and we'll be finished. So I'll see you in just back in a minute. Hi everybody, welcome back. Okay, so we have a 3-part stencil. The back, the light blue here, is gonna be garbage. So you're gonna pull it apart. When you pull it apart, everything should be on the piece that looks like masking tape. Okay, so this is garbage. So we're gonna take this and we are going to, I'm gonna step to the side. We're gonna place it on our painting where you'd like it. I guess I'll go like right around here. I'm gonna kind of eyeball it. Okay, and then you're going to take a credit card or a spatula, and you're going to push it down. Not too hard because you don't want to push through the canvas, but we do want to make it stick. It's a little different than doing it on wood because it's not so stiff, but we can get it. Just takes a little bit more patience, maybe. Okay, and then we're gonna peel back. Don't pull up because you'll pull it off. You're gonna roll it back. So I'm gonna try and do it lefty so you can see. So you can see I'm rolling it back very slowly so that if a piece happens to lift, you don't rip it. Push it down with your finger. And I'm going to pull to the side here. Oops, see, I'm getting a little bit down there. If it starts to lift, just push it back and apparently I didn't do it too well there. Okay. started. And roll it back. Lefty is a little difficult. I can paint lefty, but I don't think I can do this lefty. All right, and then roll it down. Okay. And then just press it down with your hand. There you go. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is you have a glue gun in your kit. You're going to heat that up, and then we're gonna come back and we are going to put our frame on. Hi everybody, welcome back. Okay, so I have my longer frame right here. So there's two ways to frame. It could be flush in the back and hang over in the front, or vice versa. I kind of like it hanging over in the front, so that's the way I'm gonna do it. So we're gonna make sure your glue gun's nice and warmed up. We're gonna put 3 beads. I'm going lefty again here. And then you have to kind of act quick before it cools. It has to be flush with the back and flush with the sides. And you're going to press it down and just hold it until the glue cools. It's kind of crafty right now. Make sure you don't get the glue on your fingers because it is hot. Okay, and then we're going to turn it around. And we're going to take our other longer end and we're going to do the same thing on this end. 3 beads. 1, 2, 3. And flush on the sides and flush in the back. And squeeze it down. Just give it a couple seconds so that the glue starts to hold. And you still want to be a little gentle with it until it really cools off. And then we have our ends here. So we're going to do 3 beads. And even if you wanted to, you can put some on your ends here. If it starts to ooze out later on, you could just cut it away with a knife. Kids, let your parents do that. And you're going to squeeze down. Like that. Okay, and then we're going to turn that around. I lost my easel there. And then you're going to repeat it for the last step. Okay, so I'm just kind of eyeing it up there. I'm going to do one little one there. I'm going to do 3 beads. Oh, maybe not. Ran out of glue there. Okay. And then you just hold that last piece down. The back of the frame, the back of the canvas has wood, so if you want to hang it, you can put that hanger right into the back of the actual canvas frame, not into this wood. Remember, this is only held with glue. So put your hanging material into the canvas frame. Okay, there you go. Thank you for joining us. We're at 61C Main Street in Pine Bush at 845-744-4400. You can find us on the web at uptiquing.com. Oops, and there's a fly in here again, or on Facebook at Uptiquing. Thank you again. Bye-bye.